All right. Well, welcome back from the holiday season. We hope everybody had a great time. And if you're continuing on with your holidays, awesome. I think today I just took down mine. So all my decorations. Anyway, so I'm Claire and
I'm Heather.
we are the podcast for Psych Your Way to Success, where we get to talk about things from the lens and scope of IO psychology, corporate psychology, however you want to call it. And our topic today is workplace collaboration. I feel almost the same way about when I hear that as I do about group projects. But anyway, yes. Heather, why don't you kick us off on your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I thought this was a good topic because exactly what you're saying is that when you think of workplace collaboration, you do think of group projects. And
Oh,
I don't
yes.
know, I know we kind of feel the same way about group projects. It's like I'll just do it myself.
Oh my God.
I just want
How
to do
many
it
times?
myself,
Yep. How many times have you
right?
had to? Yeah.
Well, a lot of times you do. And so like it all depends on the group that you're working with. And sometimes you have a stellar group. I
Oh yeah.
remember once I had a really great group in psychometrics and it was so fun. Like it was so fun. And we would like collaborate and we had great discussions and everybody did their job. And,
Oh, what?
like I honestly felt in that group that I was the weak link and I'm hardly
Mm.
ever the weak link,
Is that
like,
not just the most out of body experience ever when you
oh
have
my
that,
God.
like, what? I'm the
Yeah,
weak
it doesn't,
link.
right? It's like, I'm like, oh, I don't have to do everything. And I'm like kind of the slacker of the group. Like,
Yes.
I don't know. It was just so fun. It made that class amazing. Like, I really
Mhm.
enjoyed that class because everybody was smart and motivated and like working hard. Um, but I would say in general, that's not the feeling. I'm generally
Mm.
like up, it takes me way longer to do group projects because you're like generally like connecting all the pieces and trying to make it all work and not
Yeah.
take over the project.
I mean, I think
Like,
totally the plus and minus to that is first, if you're doing it all by yourself, then you don't need to check in with other people about it. So like there's kind of some freedom with that. But at the same time, when it comes to having to check in, then you're sharing the workload. But it's almost like you feel like when you start doing real collaboration, real teamwork, you feel like you're I don't know how to put it, but you're almost doing more work on a social side, right? Like you're learning how to speak with one another. You're learning how to, you're learning each other in order to learn how to best communicate with one another. And that can be so much harder than just doing it yourself sometimes.
right. And you know what? That's such a good point is that, like, if there's not already that um, ability
Cohesion.
to communicate, and,
Yeah.
because a lot of times these collaboration in the workplace, you're thrown into a group and you have to deal with like a real time issue in a
Mhm.
short period of time. And so it's really difficult to have that security and that ability to trust the other person and to really take the time that is actually necessary to, like you're saying, like learn how to communicate and learn how to like deal with like differences of opinions, which is difficult. But I
Which,
always find that when you do collaborate in the workplace, you do have better solutions to the problems.
what? Oh my
I,
God. Different perspectives give you different solutions,
it's wild,
better
isn't it?
results. Oh my God. That
It's
sounds
such
amazing. I know.
no, it's true. But how hard is it to really
Mm.
like, but it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. But
Mhm.
if you do that, like the decisions that are made are better because it's for the whole group and not just like your one perspective, right? Because
Yeah.
that's the problem with um when you just focus on yourself, even like a group project, for example, like, it's all your viewpoint. But when you have other people's viewpoints and perspectives and thoughts, it really does like encompass so much more of the problem.
Yeah. And you said something and I may have a separate opinion about it. You said it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. I know for me, because of the type of person I am, it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. So for those of you like me out there, you're not alone. Not even kind of, because sometimes it's not the fact that empathy is hard for me to give, but sometimes I really want to get something done right now, and it's so much quicker for me to do it um, than it is for me to sit there and listen to somebody else and listen to their opinions. And I have had such a struggle bus moment in those times. So for sure, I would, if we're breaking this down into challenges and benefits of collaboration, I'm going to say that is probably one of my largest challenges, is being able to take the time, because in the end it 100% pays off. We'll talk about that during benefits, but I have such a hard time with that. Do you have any specific challenges that you worry, like that
Well,
you?
no, I do
Okay.
think time is a constraint. Like and when I say a little bit of time, the overall results are way greater than the time that it
Mm,
took to do it. So, and time is such like a perspective thing, right? So like
sure.
if it's an hour that you're working with this team and you have to get something done, maybe you're taking 10 minutes of that hour, which that is kind of a lot of time, but it's really
Mhm.
not that much time to connect and understand people and then work on the project, right? So like I agree. It's that the time constraint, especially when you're under pressure and you're under like a deadline, it feels like that 10 minutes is a valuable amount of time that you could be working on the project.
Mhm. And you're gonna
Right?
encounter people in that group that find that that 10 minutes is wasted trying to get to know each other, right? So how do you counteract that? How do you engage with those people, and what? Those are some really big questions, and for a much different episode, but conflict resolution episode.
It's true. It's true. But like exactly. I mean, yeah, that I think that is the biggest challenge
Yeah.
to collaboration. And it's definitely like you're a very motivated person. I am too. And we can see the results. We just want to get it done. Right.
Mhm.
And so it's really hard to take that time when you're just like, I'm right. Or like, this is the best way forward. Can't you just see? And it's
Yeah.
like, and it's in that slowdown process that we actually learn the most, even about the problem. So
Yeah.
like I know it's not my, again, back to that psychometrics group that I was in. One of the girls kept slowing me down because I was like, let's just go, 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 go. You know, and she's just like, hold on. And we would like take moments to like connect with everybody, make sure everybody's voice got heard. And I was like, oh my God, you're driving me nuts. You know?
Oh my god, I was that person in my group. I was like, "Hey, everybody, real quick, let's do a check-in." And I could see the, like, anger of lasers coming at me from a couple people in my group. Oh my god, it was awesome. I mean, not genuinely awesome, but there was moments where I was like, "Oh, damn. Do I need to look behind my back when we're walking to dinner tonight?" Like, oh. Because we were doing one of those on campus intensive weekends. But anyway, so communication barrier is definitely probably the biggest challenge that I receive. What about benefits? Let's move on to benefits. Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, so I think for sure one of the benefits is like there's more perspective on problem solving.
Hmm.
I think it's a more enhanced problem solving. I think you also have like more innovation and creativity,
Hmm.
you know, for the like whatever project you're working on together. And then I mean, we probably we might disagree on this, we might not, but
I love it
I
when we
think there
disagree, though. It's okay.
I do love it. So I'm going to throw this out there because I'm just so curious to see what you say. But I do think that there's an increased job satisfaction and engagement. I know
Oh,
that that's a pretty bold statement to say, but even those people who are more introverted or more shy, I think they also have that feeling of improved job satisfaction.
I would definitely say lone wolves. That's kind of the lone wolves of the workplace struggle with these group settings a little bit more than most people. But I think if supported and supported the right way and provided the correct tools to be successful, that can absolutely increase job satisfaction. I think, on the other hand, if done poorly, where it's not supported in the right way and you're given zero tools to be successful, even if you're given a few, not all, you can still find job satisfaction out of it. But I think that if there's like some top line leadership that are not um, providing the right environment for you to be able to have good collaboration to be successful, if somebody's managing and running that group project, whatever it is, the task that you're leading, if the person leading it is, I want to say, authoritarian style leadership, as if like, and I'll just use the military for an example. I am all for the military having to have authoritarian style leadership, because you are needing to follow their instructions when they say, without question, right? Like, there is no room to be asking questions because there's no time. Like, that time leads to lives. So um I struggle when there's an authoritarian at the point of leadership, when we have the time, right? Like, this isn't life or death. And even when I was in safety, it can be life or death when you're talking about like making sure you're following the rules and making sure you're following policies and procedures. But man, I struggle when there's not somebody that's at least trying to take the time, and or at least allowing people's to do checks and balances, right? Like you said, the person that was in your group that you're like, oh my god, quit, slow me down, you're just holding me back. Don't, yeah, it's not always necessary. So wow, i think it's I think it's possible, let's just put it that way. So I'm not disagreeing with you, but I can't 100% agree.
See, I love this collaboration and this different perspective.
Yeah, oh good, yes, perspective
Right? We're
taking.
showing it.
Yes. I don't know. I also think that it's, in order to be successful in collaboration, it's going to take so much empathy, right? I think that the person, every single person in that group has to show some level of empathy towards the next, to understand where they're coming from and allow them room to speak and give them a certain level of respect in order to absorb what they're saying. So,
Yeah, and I think that I think though, like when you talk about the leadership and the authoritarian, I think that that's tough in a workplace in general. You know, I don't
can
think
be.
that that is specific to collaboration. I think that that decreases job satisfaction, period. You
Leadership
know?
of fear creates like unhappiness in the workplace. Yeah.
No, it's like, so I just don't want it to be like focused on collaboration. I just want it to
Oh.
be clear that that's an all around,
Mhm.
like, I agree with you. Like, that type of leadership is difficult in many settings, you know?
In most settings, I'll totally agree with you.
Exactly. Like, I think the military is a very unique situation where it's necessary, actually.
Yeah, it's absolutely necessary. I think that there's certain times and places when it's necessary, even within the workplace. Like, if we are dealing with certain types of jobs, or if somebody's doing like confined space work, or like these types of instances where there are certain things on the line and things require immediate response and action, then yeah, absolutely, we're all for like changing leadership style into authoritarian when we need to, director, or all of all the different names that are out there for all the different personality types and leadership styles. I'm on board. But yeah, I agree with you with that 100%. Yeah. It is not conducive to happiness in the workplace. No. She's like, "Oh my gosh, no." I think, moving on with like benefits, I think the other one, man, I have a list of them written down because when we were getting ready for it, um I think one of the benefits that I got the most out of every time I've gotten better at group projects was improving my ability to be more empathetic and communicate better, right? Like you mentioned that. So I would say that's probably my highest, my number one benefit. So
Really?
yeah, I obviously the knowledge that I gain from the people that I'm working with, huge, really way up there. But I would say that I am most appreciative. A lot right there with knowledge is probably my ability to be a better communicator with the more personalities I get to interact with. And so it's like banking a little bit more knowledge for me on how to work with different types of people. So I get really excited. I get really amped by that.
Yeah, I like that. That's interesting. I agree. I mean, I think that is a huge benefit. I like to understand why people think the way they think. It's so interesting to hear people's perspectives,
Mhm.
on different things. And that's what I learn the most from is like how two people can be in the same spot and hear something totally different. It's why I like to ask. I think in collaboration, one of the most important things, going back to communication, obviously, is to understand people's definitions of words.
Oh gosh, that's so. I know this is so silly, and I always bring up Brene Brown at some point in an episode.
You do.
I don't know why.
You're
I
just
think
manifesting you want her on
I
our
know
podcast.
I not only want her on my podcast, I'd love to meet her, all of the things.
We
But
got to make it happen.
I'm gonna one day. Um, she has the Atlas of the Heart book, and it actually goes through all the different words and what their technical definitions are, and like words that don't have the ability to be defined. And so how we each individually define them, like the difference between envy and jealousy, and how we misuse the ability, like misuse those words on our day-to-day vocabulary. And it's the reason why if I ever suggest books of hers, I say start with Atlas of the Heart and then read the rest of hers, because then you understand and you're all understanding it from the same perspective, right? Because you're using the same words in the same way. So I think with something I do, and if you have children or have communication issues, my favorite thing to do is okay, first, before I get upset or before anything, like tell me what you think this means. Tell me what you think I mean when I say this, right? Like so that we can be on that same page and make sure that this isn't the wrong, miscommunicated, lack of definition, lack of understanding situation. Yeah, totally agree.
Yeah, because I think half of the problems with communication is just having different definitions of the same word.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Like
yes.
it's so wild. Like or just like different definitions of what you're trying to say. So it's like, you know, you could be fighting about something that you're both actually agreeing on.
I have you ever caught yourself in the middle of an argument where you're like, "We're saying the same thing."
Totally. I do that all the time. I'm like, I think we're saying the same thing. Can we
I
just like
mhm,
go back and just like you explain what you're, exactly. It's a
yeah.
100% that I mean, I would say most of my problems or like disagreements are from just not understanding the words they're using.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I would say in partners, like partnerships, I don't care if it's in the workplace, but certainly in the romantic life, it is so much about like the words that we use and how we mean them. And what I think, even when you say I love you to somebody, what that means for one person is different than what it means to the next. And it's just dramatic and jaw-dropping when we talk about those differences and find out why and what that difference is. So, yeah, collaboration for sure. Mind blowing sometimes.
It is. And like the benefits are so They definitely outweigh the challenges, in my opinion. And I think it's like important to like, I would say also that one thing that we didn't talk about that I know, we always get into these conversations and we go down rabbit holes and whatever, and then we're like,
Yes.
oh, time's up, right?
Then we
But
should
I
just
do
change
think,
it to rabbit hole.
yes, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But I think one thing that I wanted to talk about, which is one of the challenges to collaboration, is the conflicts and then also the power dynamics. So, like,
Oh,
generally
yeah.
in collaboration, there is actually like those power conflicts, and how to deal with them is difficult when you're disagreeing with your superior or your whatever it is. Like, I think that's, or someone below you, you know what I mean? Like, even as a leader, that's also difficult because you don't want to be like, you're wrong, you know?
Oh, yeah, and then not even being aware of the effect that you have on somebody just by your simply by your title, and people not realizing that they have everybody in the room isn't speaking because all of a sudden you realize that they might just have a different an opinion. So like checking your title at the door is huge when it comes to collaboration, and without that you have no ability to be creative or innovative because people don't have that psychological safety to be to feel like they can be. So for sure, great point. That is a great point.
Exactly. They definitely need to feel safe in the environment so that you can have
Yeah.
the increased decision making and increased innovation and creativity. And I think as a leader, when you're not getting that from the collaboration, there needs to be like a little self check.
Oh my god.
Like, am I creating a space that allows for people to disagree? Like, if everybody's saying yes to you, there's a problem.
It's a really big problem.
Everybody's like, "That's such a great idea." You're like,
Yay.
"I'm so smart."
I
It's
mean,
not that.
it's hard not to get wrapped up in that, right? Like we all strive for that one absorbing moment where we can be like, "Oh my gosh, everybody agreed with me. This is amazing." But you're right. Like you should be questioning yourself if everybody is agreeing, without a doubt. So, well, I have really appreciated. We're towards the end of our time. Again, it goes by so quick. Thank you again, Heather. This has been a blast. Um,
Always.
for everybody out there, please continue to communicate with us. Again, we hope you had a wonderful holiday season. And if it's still continuing on for you, congratulations. I envy you a little bit of that, but I start early, so I end early. Yes. So, if there's anything that you want to reach out to us for, again, we are on LinkedIn and YouTube. You can listen to us and watch us on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon, and Apple. So, I think that's about it. Any last words, Heather?
I would say that just building that trust and psychological safety is always important in any team collaboration. And
Yeah.
building that ability to communicate with each other is imperative for all of the benefits of collaboration.
And the benefits definitely outweigh any of the challenges that we've seen so far, at least for us. Let us know if you have anything else to add to this or anything else that you want to hear in the future. All right, we'll talk to you later, and thanks again for listening.
Bye.